Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Boise State football wide receiver Ben Ford. I've had to face some setbacks on the field this past season, but toughness isn't about staying down. It's about getting back up. I am proud to represent Lithia Ford of Boise, where you can find the largest selection of Ford trucks that are built tough and, like me, handle the hits and keep pushing forward. Come check out the incredible inventory and competitive pricing at Lithia Ford of Boise. And when you buy here, you're not just getting a truck, you're supporting Boise State athletics and Lithia Ford NIL partnerships. Come see us at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Oh, there we are. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another night out west. We reach May, Sunday, May 3rd, 10 Eastern here, 8 out there for most of you guys in the mountain time zone, mountain area. Lot to get to in this one, all over the place. So let me get to some logistical formalities here, get them out of the way. Talked to BJ a little bit earlier, working on the background here still with a mishmash of teams. A little bit more difficult, as you can imagine, than getting just a one with teams from one league. So that's in the works. Also in the works is our plan to update the screen here, look a little more formal with maybe a rundown, because, this is different than a mid-season episode where, we're talking about the games at night, right? It's a Saturday, there's 5 games, and maybe one or two of them had some of the lesser and bottom teams. The 3 games we're going to focus on, right? And that's going to take up most of the talking time. These episodes, far different, right? Lots of big news going on, none of it on the floor. And so going to be all over the place here. Obviously, I want you to watch the whole episode. You can come back, watch it later. But I'd like to get a little bit of a rundown on it, make this thing sharpen, look a little bit sharper. And BJ's got somebody on that. Hopefully we'll have that stuff ready for next week. As for right now, you are here on another night out west. My name's Tom Moser. I'm your host. Let's thank our sponsors. First, we'll hit Sun Cruiser. As you see down there, bottom right corner, the Sun Cruiser had them along here going back to the season. They've been with us all along, as has Circa Sports. So don't forget to hit Circa Sports. Great time of year for that. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, best sports book in Vegas, mobile betting, the Stadium Swim there. Good time of year for that. So if you're headed out there for a guy's trip or anything else, business, pleasure, whatever it is, hit up Circa Sports and tell them that BJ and the crew at Bronco Nation News and Another Night Out West sent you there. Okay. So let's see here. Long weekend, just did some traveling, went to see some family up in Pennsylvania. Know that some family members are watching, maybe if they're not asleep. So shout out to you guys, because it is a little bit later here on the East Coast. But so back here. So if anything I may have missed, I tried to catch up here over the last 48 hours if I missed anything, but most of the stuff took place earlier in the week. So let's get to a lot of the news. And this is more, again, we'll talk about some individual teams, but there's stuff going on big picture here in the country that affects the whole sport, trickles down, of course, to teams in the Pac, in the Mountain West, in every single conference, right? But it's national news, and since it's the off season, this is stuff that's important. It changes our sport, right? Devo, we got a few guys in here. Devo's here. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Drew, loyal watcher, is here. GCU likes GCU and Wyoming picking up some size and shooters. And the Aztec commander still waiting to change his name. But appreciate you guys all being here. Look at that. 3 comments from 3 different programs. I'm sure we can get some other programs in here as well. Good to see all of you guys here on this Sunday night. As again, we've hit May, so we're about a month postseason now, right? I mean, really 6 weeks for those teams that didn't make the NCAA tournament. We're probably 6-7 weeks since, for some teams, since the season ended. So we got another few weeks here of some player movement, a lot of news going on until it probably dies down, right? We had that the last week when we were on here, I said that it had slowed down, and we knew it had slowed down because teams were waiting for this 5-in-5 ruling to be decided on one way or the other. And the prevailing thought was it was going to be pushed through. Now, it was pushed through. Sean's here representing the Wolfpack. He's probably got a lot to be happy about. Nevada certainly in the news for a lot of good reasons, trending up here. Another Pac fan time for all the conferences that are not Power 4 and Big East to create their own postseason tournament. New format screws everyone else with the Power 5. I'll talk about that in a little bit because, I have my thoughts on that. And, why I understand why you're saying that, Pac fan. I don't want that, even though you're right with the back end of what you're saying, right? It's like, I just don't think that fans of the mid non-Power 5s, I guess if you count the Big East, but fans of our programs, they don't want to play in that because you're the top dog then, and you don't have anybody to chase. So you should be at the top of it and win it. You think San Diego State fans, you think the commander, you think he wants to play in a tournament like that? Heck no, right? I mean, and there's other teams too that don't want to do that. Memphis, right? I mean, they were bad this year, but there's other programs too that they just don't want to play in that. And I see the discussion in football too. And yeah, if you're in the MAC in football, right, that horrible conference in the Midwest, yeah, maybe, right? If you're in like the Patriot League or one of these really, really low tier conferences in Division I, the Southland, the SWAC, like the WAC, the WAC's probably folding shop, but one of those really bottom run leagues, like, yeah, maybe that's of appeal to you. But it's not for teams. Yeah, look, I'll get to my thoughts on that later. I don't want to get it all out now, but I understand your point. That's not going to happen, I don't think. And I'm sure fans of most schools in our conferences here don't want that to happen. So we'll see. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Now, back to the 5-in-5. They passed it, but with kind of a twist that I didn't see coming. I didn't really see a lot of people talking about this either, in that they're going to pass it, but the guys that were seniors that just finished in the last couple months, they are not going to get grandfathered in and get another year. So moving forward, yes, you'll get another year. And obviously before this, the last handful of years, anybody who was in college at any point that COVID impacted you got another year. So I think the way I did it in my head, like anybody going basically all the way back to like the high school graduating class of 2015, okay? Because if you graduate high school in 15, you would have had, I guess if you use your redshirt year, let's say you redshirt in 16, back when people redshirted, you played in 17, 18, 19, and then 2020, while your postseason was canceled because of COVID, they give you an extra year. And then obviously moving forward, 16, 17, all those high school classes got a 5th year. And now moving forward, everybody else is going to get a 5th year. So it is kind of unfortunate, and it stinks for guys who just finished, the guys we mentioned last week, Muniz, right, CSU, Buchanan, and the like, Henley from GCU. These guys seem to not be eligible now. Of course, everything these days comes with the caveat of a lawsuit, right? So who's going to sue first? Who's going to get the best representation? Who's going to find a judge to cave in? And I don't know, okay? But that's coming. We know it's coming. Nothing against those guys, because you've heard me talk about it handfuls of times on here. Jevin's one of my guys, right? So it's nothing against these guys individually. But like at some point, somebody has to have a backbone with these lawsuits instead of just caving all the time, because that's what's going to happen then with this new 5-and-5 rule. Well, somebody's going to get what they deem screwed by it because of multiple injuries or multiple coaching change. Who knows what it's going to be? And they're going to sue for something, whatever, extenuating circumstances and blah, blah, blah. And then the whole can is open. The whole can of worms is out. It's out. It's open. And just the floodgates. Here we go. Right. So let's see how it happens. But bottom line is, for now, the guys who were hoping, and Buchanan had already signed at West Virginia. Okay. And there were others, not former Mountain West players, but there were players that had signed to play next year. And there were many others, like I'm sure just waiting for this to become official, that had their landing spots all kind of like under the table handshake. You come here, we pay you, blah, blah, blah. Just let's get it in writing first. And then the rug gets pulled out from underneath them, and we're not going to see that. So at this point, those guys aren't going to get that fifth year. The reasoning was something like it had just been too much of a circus with, guys thinking they were finished. And I don't know. Who knows what their actual reasoning is and what to believe and anything like that. But bottom line is, those guys aren't eligible. Okay, done. So I'm fine with all of that, right? I'm fine moving forward with the 5-and-5. It is odd. It is awkward. But again, as I discussed last week, for those that are a little bit older, or your parents or whoever that watched when freshmen were not eligible in the 60s and early 70s, it was a 3-year sport, right? College athletics. And now for much of, the last 50 plus years, through all of our lives, it's been 4 years. And now, like the last couple of years, it's been a joke, right? You see the running jokes on social media here whenever somebody goes to their 5th team in 6 years and everybody jokes it's time to get a job and all that stuff. It's a new sport now. And with the money being doled out to these guys, we all know it's minor league sports, okay? And I hate to I hate to minimize the academic part of it, right? But that has become so minuscule at most of these schools, okay? Yes, there may be a student athlete at one of these schools that we've talked about that cares about his degree, okay? There may be several, but I hate to say that's kind of in the minority. They're not there to go to school. I hate to say it. Okay. Some of them, great. Good. But most of them are there to play basketball, to get paid, to whatever. Okay. And so we have to get that out of your mind that this is a student, college amateur athletics, because it's not anymore. It's basically minor league sports. Okay. And because of that, then you got to be okay adapting to a 5-year thing. All right. And so fine. Right. You get 5 years to play, is what it is. It's different. We'll get used to it the same way we've gotten used to other things. Okay. What the heck? All right, let's see what the troubleshooting with the computers. I had it. I thought I was good to go. That's why I was a few minutes late, about 5 minutes late again, because of the damn computer. I had accepted the input on the microphone tonight, but not on the webcam. So I had a stale computer camera. I think that other computer is starting to crap out. But anyway, the commander says the big dogs already think less of us. 100%. They would clown us relentlessly, never take a new tournament. Yeah, right. Correct. And yes. And yeah, you're right. You can beat them. You guys played a national championship game 4 tournaments ago, right? Florida Atlantic played in the same game as you guys in the Final Four. It's not going to happen as much, but that should make it all the more sweeter. Yeah, Devo. Too many lawsuits on eligibility. It's absolute nonsense. Freshman redshirt was forced back in the day. Not allowed to play, period. Yeah. I mean, think about that. I think Lou Alcindor or Kareem, he wasn't allowed to play, as a freshman. I mean, you don't think he would have been dominant out there? He couldn't play, rule. So he didn't sue. He just accepted it because it was a rule. But look, society's different now. I get it. And we just have to accept that. But so 5-5, we'll be okay with it. Now, I wouldn't say I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth right now. Yes, Sean, no backbone, 100%, no backbone. So in that sense, I'm saying we got to be a little flexible and okay to adapt and okay with change because times have changed. Let's, whatever. Now, the next issue I'm going to address, I'm going to go the other way. And that's the issue of the NCAA tournament expanding. Probably 99% that it's going to happen, right? I don't know what they have to wait for some, who knows. But basically, it's going to happen. You've heard it over the last couple years. None of us want it. Most of us don't want it. The fans, a large portion of the media, for many reasons, all right? But as we know, like, we don't matter. They don't care. It's, partially a money thing, but like the other part of it is the power schools, again, getting what they want because the conferences have expanded and now they want more bids. Okay. So we're going to go from 68 to 76, probably this year. All right. I was fortunate enough to grow up falling in love with this sport in the I guess late 80s and early, all the 90s when it was strictly 64, like the glory days of the NCAA tournament. All right. And at first they went to a single play-in game because there was a new conference or two added. They went to one play-in game, which was okay. And then they went to the first four. And I mean, yeah, like I wasn't like super fond of that, but I got on board with it and it was fine. Right. 2 games Tuesday, 2 games Wednesday. I'm not going to say that my objection to it has a lot to do with like filling out pools and brackets the way that I've seen a lot of talk about that. It's annoying. And someone who used to fill out brackets when he was in like 3rd grade and used to run pools when he was in like 6th or 7th grade, like that's always been a part of me. And now that's a messy component to it, right? Like millions and millions. And the thing got as big as it did largely because of that, right? People that like the sport watch it anyway. And of course they're going to watch in March. It's the people that don't watch it all year that then get invested because they're in an office pool and they could win and may win even if they don't watch, right? Because some of it's skill, but some of it's not. And now I honestly, again, this is such a minor part of it, but I did get me thinking, like, because somebody tweeted about it, you're either going to have to, with now 12 games, right? I don't even know what I guess they're going to call it like the opening round or something, right? So with the 12 games, and I think like there are going to be a lot of play-in games of like at large, right? Your 11s and 12s and 13s. So I didn't read too much about it to see how they're going to seed all of them or any of that stuff, but you're going to have to either wait until like the last minute to fill yours out after those games are over Tuesday and Wednesday, or you're going to have to fill it out like Monday or Tuesday and you may lose it. There's 12 games that haven't ended yet. And half of those, you'd like to take a team that didn't play it. But look, it's not about that. Okay. It's not about that. And here's why on the surface, it seems great. Like this year, San Diego State would have gotten in and probably even New Mexico. I don't know for sure, but probably. And San Diego State would have been in. And, I'm sure like Boise last year and a few years ago, who knows, right? More bids in theory trickles down to more bids for everybody because it does. But there's a couple things with that. All right. Like we all know who carries the weight around here. Okay. The power schools, they're the ones that have the people on the committees by and large. They're the ones that they're doing this for. Now, they're not going to have it in writing that says, well, 8 extra bids now. They're not going to say, well, we're going to give 7 of these extra. We'll give 1 to a mid-major, and we'll give 7 to the power schools. Like, they're not going to write that into the bylaws or whatever they do, how they write this out. But, like, that's probably something that is going to be discussed, and nobody would ever admit it in that committee room, okay? They're going to – who knows who will be on the bubble in 10 months, right? But you're going to have some kind of like wink, like, we can't have 3 of these extra 8 bids go to non-power 5s. I would be stunned if that happens. I'm not going to say that will never happen, but I will be stunned if you have a year where 3 of the 8 extra bids go to non-power 5s, okay? Like, they didn't create this for the little guys. They didn't, okay? They created it for the power schools to get more money. All right. They did. And so, yes, we may get an extra bid out of it every year. Okay. Between the Mountain West or the Pac 10, 12, whatever. I'm not sure what to say about it yet. Okay. Pac 10. Probably get an extra bid. Hopefully. Right. Sometimes I guess it could be the American, like the Missouri Valley. I don't know, right? But I don't think that we're going to get 3, okay? The other thing, and Chris Murray talked about this, and I agree with Chris on it because I think the same thing, okay? It's like if you get in now, and I fully understand that the number of teams in Division I hoops grows all the time. We get new teams every year. East, Northwest, South, State, okay? Schools that, unless you're central to them, we haven't heard of, okay? You got to be real junky to have heard of some of these teams that we get, okay? Every year we get new teams. And so I get it. Like, compared to some other sports, we don't have as much representation in the postseason. Like, no, enough with that, all right? But here's the thing that Chris said. Let's say you qualify and you get in now, right? Your team's 70. You lose on Tuesday. Like, were you in? Like most people, yeah, by the record books, you qualified for the NCAA tournament. Great, okay? You didn't play on Thursday when, in most fans' minds, the tournament starts, okay? And that's not to minimize the teams that lose in the play-in round, okay? Like, we've had several of those in the last handful of years, okay? And some of the fans are in here, actually, as a matter of fact. A lot of you guys, right? Last year, Commander, Aztecs, first 4. A couple years before that, Sean's in here. Nevada got smoked by Arizona State. Drew's in here. Wyoming lost to Indiana, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. So we've had several that have done it. Boise lost to Colorado 1 year in the year they shouldn't have been in the play-in. They're in the play-in, okay? So the record books will show that they qualified for the NCAA tournament. But as more and more games are played in this like pre-round or whatever they're going to call it, it doesn't, for me, change the fact that the tournament starts on Thursday. It's almost like a play-in. Well, what do you mean? It's a play-in game. They're all playing games. And yeah, you can say you qualified for the tournament. But like for me, and I'm sure for many of you and people that have watched this thing for years, the tournament starts on Thursday at noon Eastern, my time, 10 a.m. for you guys, 9 a.m. for you guys out in California, okay? It starts at noon Eastern on Thursday when there's games wall to wall, all day Thursday, all day Friday. That's when the tournament starts, okay? It's cool to be able to have the showcase to yourself on Tuesday night and Wednesday night, like Miami, Ohio, and SMU did this year, and whoever the other game was, I don't even remember anymore, okay? But like the tournament starts on Thursday. So we're going to have all these extra games. And if you don't make it, were you really even in? And then you know you're playing a Power 4 school. Let's just say this year Nevada gets in as team 71, right? They get in, they're going to draw a SEC, Big Ten, 18 and 16 team. We all know that's what's going to happen, right? Those are toss-ups. We're going to win some of them. We're also going to lose some of them. But you can, most of the time, it's going to be a war, right? So if you get by that, it's just like, it just makes it more difficult for you to keep playing. Like, are our teams capable of winning 3 games in 5 days, winning Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday to get to the Sweet 16? Like, that's the goal, right? I mean, you want to get in, but man, it's like, it really pisses me off. It drives me nuts in football, right? When they talk about these coaches and these programs, they've made bowl games at 9 of the last 10 years after only making 5 bowl games in the prior 50 years. Well, guess what, dude? Like, when I was growing up, and I know I guess I'm getting older, but like, I'm not the old man, like, get off my lawn guy. But dude, when I was growing up, there's like 15 bowl games. Okay. You had to earn your way into a bowl game. Nobody declined a bowl invitation. No player sat out ever. It was an honor to get to a bowl game. Okay. Now there's freaking 50 bowl games. All you have to do is have a pulse and win 5 games basically and go 5-7, and you qualify for a freaking bowl. So of course X program has made 12 bowls in the last 15 years. Everybody gets in a freaking bowl. It's garbage. It's junk, right? It means nothing. So yeah, I want our teams to get in. I do, right? But man, it's like it meant so much to me. It will have meant more when you earned your way in. Okay, like a lot of our teams have over the last handful of years. Okay, now I will also add that our teams at the deck, we all know in here. I'll get to the comments in a minute because I know a bunch have rolled in while I've been on this tangent here. The deck is getting increasingly stacked against us, as you've seen in this offseason, in the last few off seasons, in accumulating your roster and building depth, and that hurt. All those things are little body blows against you as a program. Okay, to make it harder, the scheduling that we talked about, the depth, the non-salary cap, salary cap, it's all stacked against our programs. So in that sense, yes, it's an accomplishment to qualify. I don't want to diminish it at all. All right, but it's going to be difficult to go on extended runs unless you really get your program up like Gonzaga has it. Right? Like San Diego State's on the verge of. Okay, they've taken a half a step back the last 2 years here. But, can you do that? Are our teams capable of doing that? It's not just is any non-power 4 team capable of doing that, right? Like you've even Big East schools who, as we know, like Gonzaga and Grand Canyon, don't have to rev share with football, where all these schools eat up the biggest piece of the pie. They're not exactly flourishing. The Big East sucked this year. They were horrible. Like, obviously they have UConn and St. John's, but after that it was trash. It's garbage. Well, they're supposed to have all this money, right? Now we'll see. I mean, some of those programs have seemingly had a good first month of the off season, but I don't know. Like, I don't think that they're like on the verge of busting through those first 4. I think had our conference stayed together, we could have, over the long haul, given them a damn good push. And our top teams in these 2 conferences here can certainly do that. Okay. With Gonzaga kind of equaling out UConn. Yes, I get it. UConn's won 2 national championships. The Zags have yet to break through. But, there are not many programs have had the consistency at that elite level of the Zags over the last 25 years. I mean, you can count on one hand the number of schools that have. UConn's gone through several coaches. They've missed plenty of NCAA tournaments in there. I mean, you would take the resume because they seem to win national titles every few years, obviously. Okay. But who knows what's going to happen to St. John's when Slick Rick hangs it up. He's not going to coach forever. He's returned that program to glory, and we'll see. And nobody else can get it going there. So that's my rant on the expansion. Don't like it. Bummed about it. I'll deal with it. And, look, here's the last thing I'll say on it. People are like, oh, the rating. This was the other piece to that bowl game analogy I made. No, because the guys like Seth Davis and Seth Greenberg were the two main media guys like in favor of this. Nobody else seemingly is. I think BJ said it was okay because he's like, yeah, extra games I'll watch. Well, yeah, we're all going to watch, right? Everybody's going to watch. Well, not everybody, but we're going to watch the games. Like, yeah, of course. Of course ratings are up. I laugh when Seth Davis or whoever wants to like cite ratings as a reason to expand a tournament. Dude, there are more people living in the country now. There are more people living in the country now. That means there are more people able to watch the games. Right? Am I nuts here? Like, I should have looked it up, but compared to 1990, probably quite a percentage increase in population. Now, are all those people watching games? No. But more eligible people means you're going to get more people watching games. Ratings aren't going to go down. People are going to watch the games. Doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. That argument drives me nuts. Anyway, okay. All right, so what do we have here? Drew's got his power ratings. I'll talk about that in a little bit, Drew. Will the play-in game get a full dollar share for the conference? That's a good question, Sean. I probably have to look that up. I believe so. I mean, they have up until now. So if they're going to – I mean, look, it's what, 8 more games to broadcast for Turner, however long the deal with Turner goes for. I don't know, probably another handful of years. And who knows what the hell the dollar price will be on the next contract with Turner or Fox or whoever wants to bid on it in 5 years. But, yeah, like they did this year because, I remember the argument this year from some of the HBCUs about how their schools get knocked into the play-ins all the time. And then the counter argument was, well, dude, like you get an extra game then if you win. That's 2 full units that you weren't getting otherwise. So take it. So it's 8 more games that you have to pay out 8 more units, but it's also 8 more games that the networks get to put on TV and sell ads for. So I'm almost positive that they would get a full dollar share. Commander issue with the 15-16 seat. Yeah, 100%. They should not have to play in. But I'm sure they will. They don't want those guys getting that money, as I just said. They don't want those guys earning. Yeah, I don't know. They should get in. You'd have to see multiple years of multiple mid-majors getting extra at-large bids to even consider. Yeah, correct. Yeah, they're not going to be fair. 100%. They're not going to be fair. They don't care one bit about the non-power schools. They even stab each other in the back. That's how the whole Pac-10 and Pac-12 imploded. They had some type of alliance, didn't they, with the Big Ten? And then the Big Ten guy went and stabbed him in the back like Brutus to Caesar, right? Stabbed them in the back and took their 2 high-profile flagship programs after they had a scheduling alliance. They'll screw each other. Like they bicker about the football playoff between the Big Ten and the SEC. They're all trying to like break the ACC up. They don't care about each other. They're all out for themselves. So you think they care about the non-power fours? Hell no. Hell no. So Sean, you're saying you didn't feel like you were in when you lost that game to Arizona State. Exactly, right? Yeah. I mean, it was cool to watch your team play. I think it was Wednesday night. Maybe it was Tuesday. I don't remember. It was cool to watch your team play that game, but it was exactly as it was termed. It's a play-in game. You play in to get into the tournament, okay? What did Chris say? In the last 5 seasons, Mountain West has 14 at-large teams. Of those 14, 5 had to play first 4 games. In an expanded field, that number would have risen to 11. So, and I didn't even bring that up. Thank you, Pac fan. Yes. So 6 more, because we played in a lot of play-ins over the last handful of years. Since our 22 to 26, our good run, we had 5 of them. Okay. What Chris figured out, going back looking, is that 4 teams, because if you're going to add 8 more teams, you're going to have to take 8 more on the back end, but also the last 8 in, the last 12 in are going to play. The first 4 already, or the last 4 in already did, but now the last 12 in, and we would have had 6 more of those teams in that would have played in play-in games. So even one more point against it, because that's another game that you have to win. Now, will you be favored in that game because the teams would be like lower down the totem pole, but certainly doesn't mean you can't lose. So another reason to be like, hell no. You earn your way in like Utah State did the last couple of years, or like New Mexico did last year, and get in that 8, 9, 10 range. You don't want to have to go play a talented Big Ten team who was 18-16, but they had players. They just are in a good league. I get it. They're in a good league. But you still have to win your games. But in a one-game shot, yeah, you don't have to deal with that. 100% no. And the commander agrees with what Sean said and what I said. Losing that first 4 games did not feel like you made the tournament. Exactly. Okay? So, yeah. Committee seeding. Expanded NCAA tournament will make it slightly easier for mid-majors like Nevada to get in, but it'll make it more difficult to get into the field of 64. Correct. Which is my benchmark. But everybody's different on it. Exactly. I don't know a lot of, I watch Jeopardy all the time. They have so many Shakespeare categories on there. I don't know crap about it, but I know Et tu, Brute. And that's kind of what, I don't remember what the guy's name was. Kevin Warren, I think, was the Big Ten commissioner, completely stabbed the guy in the back and just, took the pack apart. That was the beginning of the end for the pack, the old Pac-12, when UCLA and USC went to my neck of the woods. Anyway, okay, so that's on expansion. Now, let's get to a few other things here. Scheduling. Some good news this week on the schedule front. One of my rants last week was on scheduling, and I kind of targeted specifically like Olin and New Mexico, and I said, you got to go schedule. And I heard a little bit back, and some guys said, what we try, and nobody will do it, even if it's just nobody would even give us a road game. Now, if you, because we all saw what the guy from Miami, Ohio said this year, that he tried, every school and nobody bit. If there's no embellishment there in his comments, then we all know there's a problem. Okay. But if there's no embellishment there, and if Olin called every Power 5 school and not one of them said yes, then there's a massive problem. Okay. I don't, if you call like 4 of them and you're cherry picking, you got to try a little harder. All right. That's what my point was last week. I understand it's not going to be easy. All right. And like Jeff Grammer said, and like Lobo Nation knows, they need their home games for their revenue. Okay. Now, if they can keep Eck around, which I don't know if they can, but if they can keep Eck around as a football coach for the next handful of years, they won't need as much from the basketball program, because the football program will start bringing in some revenue, all right, which it hasn't for decades. It's been Lobo basketball. If Eck can stay and get that program elevated, awesome. Maybe then they could sacrifice a couple games and go play road games. Now, Eck bails out after this year to go coach at Wisconsin, where I believe he played or coached. When they can that guy, well, then you're back to the drawing board, okay? And sucks, right? So that's that. But you got to try something, okay? And to my point, this week, midweek or something, we saw that New Mexico and Utah State have signed a home and home. So I'm 99% sure this year they will play in Albuquerque. So, you're looking at like 6 months from now, right? Like, they're not going to play the game in January or February. It's a non-league game. So it's probably going to be in November or early December. So you're looking at, 6 months away, early season game in the pit. Aggies, Lobos, should be a great game. Next year in 27-28, return matchup in Logan. So now this should be, I don't know if they'll continue it after the first 2 years, whatever, but it should be for these 2 years, hopefully, okay? Obviously, it depends on how the teams play, but if you win on the road quad 1 win. If you win at home, should be a quad 2 win. We'll take those. Okay, we'll take those. Very good stuff. Obviously, if you would expect they to be quad 1 road wins if you can get them, and quad 2 home wins if you get them. Okay, but fantastic job scheduling by those two programs. Jacobson comes in. You like to see it. All right, he's new to the conference. Good on him. Good on Olin for doing it. We already have UNLV and San Diego State. Maybe Commander, is that a home and home? I know you're playing this year, so that's good to see. I've seen between Chris Murray, BJ, some other people said, we got to get some more of these, whether it's Boise and Nevada, whether it's whoever it is, right? Let's get a few more of these scheduled. You're not going to play 4, each team isn't going to play like 3 or 4, but let's get a couple of these scheduled because, as we know, you're not going to be able, most of our programs here, to get a lot of the other teams, the good programs out west. Okay, you might be able to get Danny Sprinkle in Washington on, maybe Oregon. I don't know. Arizona State, maybe. You're not going to get Arizona. You're not going to get BYU with the way they've elevated their program. Maybe Utah, but like this is better than scheduling your Big Sky and your Big West and your schools and your Summit schools. Okay, so. Good job, great job by those two programs getting that signed. Okay, I'm sure and this is early, so more to come, hopefully. The only other scheduling news this week was also pretty good. GCU in the Acrisure that they played. So this year, I'm pretty sure they beat Utah and lost to Iowa in a couple of low-scoring slugfest rock fights. Now, the Iowa loss right now certainly aged well. I mean, that team was in the Elite Eight and, had a chance to beat Illinois and make the Final Four. So that not a bad loss at all. They didn't look good in that game. I watched it. They looked pretty poor, couldn't score the ball at all, but showed well in, let's just say good event. Okay, didn't show well against Iowa. Looked good against Utah in the opening game, but they're back. New field. Now, the last 2 years, this season and the one before they were in the Mountain West at all, they had a home and home with St. Louis. Each team won their home game, and this past season was a rout in St. Louis. Now, again, not a bad loss at all. Tournament team won a game in the tournament. The coach stayed, Shirt stayed. Kind of, you never know what to believe, but sounds like he kind of rebuffed Syracuse, Providence, NC State, all sniffing around. They've really upped the commitment there and resources. It is a basketball school. He just went through a dip there for a while. This guy's pretty sharp. And so now with the home and home expired, they are going to meet up in the first game of the Acrisure. Awesome. Okay. Again, probably, I know the big guy, Avila's gone, but he brought a lot of the roster back. I'm sure they got, I didn't really follow it, but I'm sure they got some dudes in because they have NIL, and the guy's a good coach. So on a neutral, that's going to be a quad 1 game for GCU. The other half of that is Stanford, Arizona State, which a lot of Lope fans were fired up because you got a 50-50 shot now of playing Arizona State. So I don't know all of the background stuff here, but it's certainly possible those two close in proximity, right, in Arizona State, in Tempe, GCU in Phoenix. I don't know the geography there, but I don't think it's too far apart. I don't know that they compete against each other in a lot of sports. I don't know that they've played before in basketball, certainly not recently. And this would be a way to get them together in what will be a much anticipated game. Now, the best thing will be for them to both win opening night and get to that spot, right? Randy Bennett, new coach at Arizona State, who I have no idea what he's going to have there. They'll be well coached. No offense to Bobby Hurley, but they'll be better coached than they were under Hurley with Bennett there now. Stanford, I don't know what they have. They lost their stud freshman. He's off to the NBA. Don't know what else they have. They've kind of I don't know if they underperformed this year. They just haven't been, they've been the last couple of years. So, that's a winnable little set there for GCU, but 2 good games nonetheless. So good job by the Lopes on the scheduling front to start with. Okay, let's get to some individual player stuff here. Let me run through I have a few additional comments, and then we'll run through what happened on the player movement this week. Pac fan, they need more MTEs. Hard to get good games. Hopefully, you continue to see more interconference matchups. Well, luckily for you, I guess I didn't really see a lot of details on this yet. Maybe you guys can clue me in. But as I mentioned last week, 2 MTEs for Nevada this year, right? And I think reading through the comments, it's possible that Utah State is in that non-Power 4 MTE in Dallas. So the way I read that was the MTE is for teams not in Power 4 programs. So they didn't want to categorize it as a mid-major tournament, but the wording is that for schools not in the Power 4, because they probably don't have the finances to give these teams to play like the Players Era does. Okay, so Commander, are the Aztecs in this year again in the Players Era? I would assume. I haven't really seen any buzz about that. I'm assuming they're in it. Yeah, AJ, you said it. Yes. Olin and Pitino tried every power school. Pitino got a neutral Vegas game. I remember that with Dent versus UCLA, and did get into 2 MTEs. Olin tried, and that's why last year the UNM basketball schedules didn't come out till last minute. I mean, yeah, I don't know what you got to do then. I really don't know what you got to do. Yeah, you probably are dreaming, Nick, to add Gonzaga home and home. I mean, Gonzaga plays a lot of neutrals. A lot of neutrals. And I said last week, I said that I would anticipate the Zags dialing back their non-league a little bit because their league schedule would now become tougher. I don't know that they really are, because I saw quite a series, at least 3 or 4 really imposing games. So obviously one against Duke, and I can't remember who the others are. So good for them. Grammer has reported that Olin wants to also schedule home and homes with CSU and Boise. Okay. Yeah, I mean, why not, right? That seems perfect for all of them. Utah State, New Mexico will be a movie. Arizona schools are more willing to play GCU since most of our sports play each other. Local recruiting market is competitive. Yeah, sick as a Boise backer would be for a home and home with New Mexico. Yeah, why not? Right? I mean, you're likely to get quad 2 wins out of it if you win at home. You'll take that. I mean, what the hell? All right, good. Aztecs are in the Players Era. Oh, yeah, I forgot UNLV probably too. They didn't show well in it last year at all. They were not playing good at that point, but did not forgot about that. So that's good. Okay. Hard to get games the last 2 years. Nevada hasn't finalized the schedule till mid-September. Yeah. Well, look, if you're in 2 MTEs, Alford hasn't exactly scheduled dynamite lately. If you can get one more game, I'd like 2, but one more game against a quad 2, assuming he's going to get 4 already between his 2 MTEs, I would take that. Half you're not. Well, although I keep forgetting about this. Both conferences now, you're going to have less conference games, so you're going to have to schedule more non-conference games. Okay. You've played 20 games now the last 2 years in the Mountain West. And in the Pac this year, you're only going to play 16, right? There's 9 teams. You play 8 teams twice. That's 16. That opens you up to a heck of a lot more games that you need. Mountain West will have an extra set with 10 teams, so not 18 games. But still, it's 2 more you need from last year. So that's where you go. These guys will do what they want to do, but you've heard my thought on it. Okay, let's get to some player stuff. Dustin wants to play the whole. Yeah, so no more unbalanced. Yeah, everybody's going to play everybody. Absolutely. And I like the fact that it probably won't start till January now. Okay, you won't see any league games in either league in December. You shouldn't. And I like that. I mean, I know they had to do it, but I like it when it's all in January. I don't need it in December. Okay. Player stuff this week. Let's go over it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 schools to mention. Okay, let's start with Nevada. I mentioned earlier when Sean said he was here, and the Pac fans here as well. They should be really excited. So last week, after they got Styles Phipps, I believe. Is that his name? Styles Phipps, did I say that right? Let me look at last week's notes. Did I write it down? Yeah, Styles Phipps, the point guard. Yes. Okay. And I thought that Nevada was done. Well, they added not just 1, but 2 additional players right after I recorded Sunday night, like on Monday and Tuesday. And they seem like legit pieces here. Okay. So reason for optimism in Reno. Okay. Peter Bondel. I had to do some digging there. Spelled Bandelj, but Bondel, I believe it's pronounced Peter Bondel from Cal Poly. Wing, shooting guard, probably will start at the 2. We'll see. 6'4"-ish. His shooting numbers aren't super. He had a game where he went 9 of 10. Cal Poly was much better this year. They seem to be well coached this year. I didn't watch them much, but they were better than they've been. And he seems to be a solid player, okay? It's to slot in there to start at the 2. With Phipps at the 1, Price and Weems inside. And Price and Weems 3-4. And then the one weak spot and concern I have is in the post with those 2 transfers that I mentioned last week. Lath and the other one is who? Majak. Is it Majak from Memphis? 2 guys with not a lot of experience. They passed the eye test. Physically, they look good. Will they be able to do what they need to do, or is it going to force Alford? Because now, let me get to the second signing. Keon Kenzie Jr. from Portland State. And Portland State was very good this year. I believe they won the regular season in the Big Sky, and I believe they got beat by Idaho in semis or whatever. Idaho got the automatic to qualify for the big dance, but Portland State was very good, and I believe Kenzie put up like pretty big numbers. Okay, I think 11 and 7-ish. Maybe but seemed to be pretty good, maybe even better than that. 6'8" with some guard skills. So I don't know if it's Kobe Sanders like guard skills. I don't know. You'll take a guy of this ability if you're offered. Maybe Bondel gets out of the starting lineup now and Alford goes big. Remember, he had good success a couple years ago with a very tall lineup when he had Blackshear and Lucas and Trey Coleman when he felt like playing, and Davidson and Himes. He had a massive lineup a few years ago. And he could do that with Phipps and Kenzie and Weems and Price and one of the bigs inside and bring Bondel off the bench. He's got a couple other guys. So he's got some options here, Alford does. Very versatile lineup. Again, you have to see how these pieces come together, right? There was a lot of optimism 2 years ago when Kobe Sanders and crew came in after Lucas and Blackshear were gone. And we all know they crapped the bed and didn't make the postseason. And then last year, not as many expectations, and they played well. Didn't quite have enough to make the NCAA tournament, but they had a much better year. And now the expectations are going to be ramped up again come September, October, November. They're going to be picked top 3 in the league, hands down. Okay? I know, Drew, on your power ratings, I think you said to me that you had Nevada 4th. They're going to be top 3 hands down. And Chris Murray, who I think is pretty level-headed, I don't consider Chris a homer. I know a lot of Pac fans now think Chris is anti-Pac, and he might be, okay, as a Nevada, supporter, or someone who writes or works for Nevada, covers Nevada, I should say. But he doesn't wear silver colored glasses, right? He calls it like it is. And he I think has Nevada as a team to beat right now in the Mountain West. I might still have GCU number one. Might have GCU number one. I know New Mexico fans are like, what? What are you talking about? I think I have GC right now, the roster wise. I think GCU, and the three of them are very tight. GCU 1, Nevada 2, New Mexico 3, and and Wyoming 4. Okay. I like what GCU's done, and I forgot about this one because give me 1 second here, but they brought somebody else in this week too. Did the Lopes, and it was and I'll get to that one quick. Micah Tucker, a 6'3" guard from Georgia State, not a good program, but he was a freshman this year, and he scored 13.5 a game, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Okay, and they already have quite a solid lineup. Okay, and as I said last week on here, that Evan Mia had them in the 50s. Again, plenty of stuff to sort out yet. So for now, he had the Lopes in the 50s with roster. And, you have to see how the pieces fit together. Obviously, not all these guys are going to hit. Not for Nevada, not for GCU, not for Oregon State, not for anybody. Not all the pieces are going to hit. Some of these guys that we're mentioning here, and that's why I did that thing a week ago with those guys that we all got a kick out of, right? Some of these guys are going to be busts, right? Busta Rhymes. They're not going to be very good. It's just not going to work. Some of them are going to work. So who can get the most guys to work? If Alford can do it better than Drew, then Nevada will finish ahead of the Lopes. If they both hit on 50%, then maybe it's New Mexico. Okay? Olin certainly deserves the benefit of the doubt after what he's done the last 2 years at 2 different programs in 2 different leagues. But right now, I just think they're a player or 2 short. Now, I know they're not done. I'm sure they're not done. But I think they're a little bit too many question marks. Okay? Obviously, your backcourt is rock solid with Tennette and Hall. And Hal coming back as the glue guy, Mays the transfer. But beyond that, it's a lot of uncertainty with the foreign guys. Okay, it's just uncertainty. I mean, are we certain that they're going to perform the way Bouillon did? I'm not. Maybe they will. That's great. But you could just as easily get an Antonio Chol performance, and then you're swimming upstream without a paddle. So I get the optimism in Lobo land. You should be excited. Very good team. Better than very good coach. You need another piece or 2 for me. I'm sure you'll get it at some point, okay? But right now, I think the rosters of Nevada and GCU are a little bit better. Wyoming has a very good roster, too. It's a shame because, and other points, Wyoming, Sundance, Drew, Cowboy backers will be like, hey, we should be in that top 3. And they'll have a chance to. They return as more than anybody as far as 4 starters that I talked about last week. They just don't have the depth or the high endness, I don't think, of those other programs. Okay, so one more on the Mountain West before we shift over to a few of the Pac-10 schools. Okay, Pastner woke up this week and got 2 guys. He still needs about 6 more. He got Tyler Harris, a 6'7" forward. He was at Vandy this year and Washington before that. So apparently he got a lot of minutes at the start of the year, and then he went dry and couldn't hit water from a boat, and his minutes drop. And then he fell out of rotation by the end of the year. Now, Vandy was very good, so there's nothing wrong with that. MJ Collins left Vandy last year and had quite a season for Utah State this past year. And if Tyler Harris can get anywhere close to that, the Rebels would take that. Now, can he? No, we'll see. The other guy, Jeremy Fumina, 6'11" center, spent this year at UCF, was at Mississippi State before that. Now, I don't want to call him a project, but he scored 3.5 a game and got 2 rebounds a game. So, I'm not expecting much from Jeremy. I guess that's one that it's like a dart throw. You could be pleasantly surprised if he amounts to anything more than like a rim protector, because he looks like a physical specimen at 6'11", nice frame to him. I'm sure he can get some rebounds. He was coached up pretty well the last 2 years by Dawkins at UCF and Jans at Mississippi State. So, he probably should know how to play. He's probably just limited offensively in what he can do. Didn't get on the floor very much this year, but UCF was a good team, tournament team, right? Just couldn't get on the floor. But these are, Pastner needs more than this. To me, they're quite, I just said 1, 2, 3 are kind of tightly packed. Wyoming is a notch below those 4. UNLV is a notch below right now. Wyoming for me. Pastner's he's got to get on the horse here. He's got to get on it. All right. So all right, let's move over to some of the schools in the Pac-10 and Boise. Davidas Butka, 6'9", Lithuanian, was at Campbell this year, 14 points, 8.5 boards a game. So good numbers. From what I've read, he certainly slots in as a starter. And on a team that lacks a lot of proven scoring, consistent scoring, he might end up being their go-to guy. Now, scoring 14 a game in the Colonial, the CAA, whatever they call it anymore. It used to be, I don't even know. It used to be the Colonial Athletic Association. I think they might have changed it to the Coastal. I don't know. The CAA for Campbell, scoring 14 a game in that league is a lot different than what he's going to go up against in the Pac-10, okay? But he seems to have a nice back-to-the-basket, old-school post-up game, can shoot it a little bit, good hands. Again, I don't know that he's the most physical guy on the floor, but it's a good grab for Leon. They had been a little, stale. And if you put Standback, the center, inside as the 5, right, as your defensive rim protector and your bulk, then Butka can play off of him as the 4. You could bring the JUCO guy. What was his name? Jakani Diang, the JUCO guy. This is just me. I have no idea if this is what they're going to do. Bring him off the bench as your scorer, 6-man scorer, maybe. You got Carmichael. Well, I keep forgetting about Spencer Aarons, too. If Spencer Aarons makes a jump, then who knows? All bets are off. Maybe Standback doesn't start as your rim protector. And I guess it's a good problem to have if you're Leon, right? Because they seem to have good pieces in the front court now. Carmichael, the 3. Need some wings. What were his initials? Wheeler Thomas, DWT. Is that what I said we're gonna call him? DWT. I don't know. I don't even have it. I can't find it anymore. Too many note sheets with notes on it. But yeah, is there a go-to scorer? NATO, I need to see improvement from at the point. But it's okay. I mean, they can improve, but it's okay. It's an okay roster. I'm sure there's a little bit more work to do there for Leon. Okay. The big news, and it shouldn't have taken me an hour to get to this, but probably the biggest news of the week, I guess second behind the tournament expansion, but is Gonzaga getting Masamba Diop from Arizona State. Okay. Biggest news of the week in player movement. I guess that guy that went to BJ's school, Kansas, Stokes, the number 1 recruit that chose Kansas over Kentucky in a cringe-worthy video. If you guys watched that, I don't even know what the hell that was. Opening some type of basket or something, like a gender reveal. Give me a break. Tell us where you're going, dude. Okay. I only saw it because it came up on my feed. I guess they put it on NBA Live or something, one of those pregame shows, which I never watched. So that was a farce. But anyway, aside from that, Diop committing to the Zags over St. John's and Patino was massive. So a week ago, I said, Gonzaga, I don't know, are they going to, and then, obviously this is not Few's first rodeo, right? He's been to a few rodeos and barbecues before. He knows what he's doing. A lot of discussion about the agent with connections there is what did it. I mean, the guy goes to St. John's on a visit. I'm sure they threw the bag at him. And for him to still commit to Zags, fantastic. Okay. So that instantly, changes the whole trajectory of their outlook. Okay. Also, I saw this week, who is it? Jack Cahill, the German, put his name in a draft. He's likely to come back. I would say 90+%. He's not very high on the draft boards that he's even listed on. He's just probably going through it to get some feedback and stuff like that. But you add those two pieces in to the returns that we talked about last week, the Harwell transfer from Houston, Superi Mario running the show, Huff coming back from injury if he's fine, Huff and Jop, massive front court. Okay, Fogel is your glue guy, scorer when he needs to be. I'm sure there's other guys coming. So that vaults them into the top 10 for some people, I'm sure, right? And so biggest news right there, and really cements the Zags as the number one program in the Pac-10 for this coming season, okay? So good on Few, good on the Zags. And then Dutcher opened up his foreign market and got Luka Skoric, 6'9", wing, I guess, if you will, typical 6'9". They grow them on trees over there in those Eastern European countries. He's from Croatia. Now, he didn't score a ton, but he's playing professionally. Okay, he's playing in the A leagues over there. So, I've seen a bunch of different things. Well, the scoring usually is where he was there, so I don't think he's going to score. Who knows? Okay, he's playing professionally in Croatia. They have good basketball in Eastern Europe, right? That stuff's exploded over there. So I would trust that this was a guy they targeted and they landed him, right? It's taken Dutch a while to get acclimated to the foreign type of recruiting. Mentioned it last week. It's just the new ball game. Okay, it worked last year a little bit with Simmons and Harrington, but you just don't count on the freshmen the way you used to. And with our schools getting priced out of many of these bigs, Gonzaga notwithstanding, you got to take who you can get, right? We discussed that last week with the fee for Miles Heide. And so good job by Dutch. And that was all they got. I know they're not done. As somebody said, the European foreign paperwork takes a little bit longer to get stuff signed, official, whatever goes beyond the red tape type of stuff. So I'm sure there's more to come because they got it. They need some more guys too, 100%. All right, let me hit on some of what I missed here. We're going to wrap it up in about 5 minutes. We're over an hour and 8. I thought I would go for an hour here. Okay. Yeah, I agree, Sick. Butkus seems like a good fit. I think so too. I do. Where are we here? Nevada has 14 scholarship players. Rumors are they're filling the 15th as well. That's wild. I mean, a few years ago, we went from 13 to 15. Most don't carry 15. I mean, hey, all right. Lath and Majok, first time in at least 4 years that Nevada has had not one but two legit centers. If they're both legit Pac fan, then you guys should be on the bubble all season long with a very good chance to get in, 100%. And yeah, I mean, Murray's not a homer. So for him to say he thinks they're the favorite, you got to feel pretty confident. I'm sure Lope fans would say they're the favorite too. But hey, you guys played two good games this year. You stole the one at home in the regular season, and then you really kind of put the screws to them in the conference quarterfinals with a really good effort. So maybe you have Drew's number. I don't know. Alfred and Noodles are both fired up, as they should be. This is I've been a little curious. I don't know if critical is the right word. We're a little curious about Alford's commitment the last couple years with how the landscape of college hoops is going. I hope he's bought in. I hope he feels he has like a really good squad here and he's ready to get after it. Nick says the roster may be better, but coaching is where UNM is better than the other two. Yeah, I mean, look, Alford's taken several teams at the NCAA tournament, and Drew has too. Olin might be just very, very good. You can be a good coach, and just because Olin's better than you doesn't mean you're not a good coach. Like, Olin's a very, very good coach. Yeah, you know what? When I was going through that, Nick, I did forget about Petraitis. He definitely I keep blanking on him because he was a late addition. Petraitis, totally fair. I forgot about the Petraitis addition. I looked at that earlier. He certainly will help as well. You are totally right. Yes. Pack fan. Yeah, Lobo fans, they don't, some of them, not all of them, they're not all lumped together. Some of them are don't like the way that Alford left town, and so they're hesitant to give Alford credit. He won several conference titles in a row and had him in a tournament. He did lose a 3-14 game in the first round, which he shouldn't do, but he was out the door. Anyway, Aztecs were a sure thing, but nobody knows what all the turnover. I agree. Passer needs to kick it into gear. The Mountain West needs it 100%. Absolutely. I mean, look, you could have a legit solid 5 because I think most of us agree that Wicks has that Wyoming program headed in the right direction. And with GCU's budget and the resources at New Mexico and Alford, we've seen with the arena, maybe an influx of resources and things going into Nevada's program. Yeah, right. GCU's roster was weak last year because of the shift in program focus for recruiting. Okay. All right. Fair enough, Dustin. Move their Mountain West was for stronger strength of schedule. Fraternity seating, no guarantees, different players, and the rush move hurt to recruiting. This year, full recruiting under the new direction of program makes it easier to fill a roster. Okay. Well, then that's good. Then let's see it. Let's see it. Butkin, Standback are solid fits. Optimistic about those additions. Yeah, like Sick, like I think so. I mean, I the way I put it, Standback's your defensive stopper at the 5. He was last year in a SWAC. I don't see why he can't do that here. He'll be coached up better for sure defensively, right? As an interior presence. Butka with some offensive skills. And then you have Aarons and Jiang. So, yeah, good front court depth there for the Broncos. Absolutely. And Aarons needs to meet his potential NBA ceiling. He showed some signs this year. We need to see him kick it into gear, 100%. Yeah, I don't know who has what left at all. That's the interesting thing. I mean, who has what left? Nobody knows. Right? Yeah. The video was embarrassing. I mean, I get embarrassed sometimes when I watch that stuff, like for them, even though I have nothing to do with it. That's just how I've always been. And that was like cringeworthy, honestly. Zags hit big with that. Hard to consider them a minute anymore based on how the power schools view them. Yeah. Yeah, they need to be a little bit more, consistent. They only have one tournament win, Dustin. They're certainly better than most non-Power 4 schools. There's no doubt about it. But they're not at that level of San Diego State, certainly not Gonzaga or Memphis or anything like that yet. They can get there. I believe it. Yeah. So, Archie, I said that before. BJ's got his intern or graphics guy or somebody on it as far as everything. So we do have the logo up here when I get this off. Another night out west here on the bottom left. Right there. Yes, I see the ticker at the bottom. We'll have to change that when we do it for next week to get everything fixed, 100%. Nevada will fill the roster out. GCU got smaller. They lost Evans. They lost Nana as well. The commander wants to make the Aztecs a European Union. Illinois had darn good success with it this year. And, yeah, if you get 2 more guys from there, why not? And it opens up a pipeline, right? So, Sick, you think Baum has good potential? Yeah, he's got a nice frame to him. He just needs experience, and you got to make a jump. Can he make the jump? Yeah, GCU totally choked the in-season game away. Yeah, we all know about the nonprofit stuff and the money that they can kind of get in there. Yeah, exactly. Nevada got NIL money with the casino owner. Yep. What would I see? What would I hope to see for interest, league scheduling, Pac and Mountain West? Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. We have a few of them, and like I hope a couple more. Like there's no reason that any of these schools should go without scheduling somebody. Like Utah State, I don't think we have it yet. Colorado State doesn't have it yet. Nevada doesn't. So they all should link up. Honestly, they should. 100%. Yeah, sick. I talked about that last week. The only reason I didn't mention Oregon State this week at all is because they were quiet. They did a lot. They did a ton. And 100%, they are, as far as when you mention contender, like they're not at the level of Gonzaga, but would it stun me if they're competing with everybody else? No. My thing last week was, let's see how Joyner does here on the bench as the head coach for the first time. Okay, maybe he'll be a wizard, but we don't know that. We have to see it first. Not everybody, most of us go through growing pains as a first-time head coach. It's hard not to. Take your lumps and learn. I don't know. I should probably look. I don't know who his staff is, who he has. Does he have a veteran assistant? Does he have somebody who's been a head coach? Does he who's helping him out? That stuff matters a lot. I should check that out moving forward here. But they're definitely in it. They're in it, no doubt. The tournaments in Vegas, as BJ bought my plate. Listen, yeah, I would be surprised if I don't get out there for something this year. Preseason media stuff, postseason stuff. That's, it didn't work out this year. I would expect to have it happen this year for sure. Sean, thank you. Appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you guys being here, all of you. Devoted on a Sunday night here in the off season. We're not quite at the dog days yet when we get to June and July. We'll see how that goes. The hope is, as I mentioned before, the first week that we'll get some coaches on, maybe some players. So I don't know if, the show, I'll come on and talk live, maybe pre-record an interview with a coach for a little bit and then talk about that program in depth a bit more in the same episode, right? So that's the dog days when there's not as much to talk about. So we'll get to that in a little bit. We still have a few weeks of player stuff and some other, who knows what other news will come about this week. There's always something going on, right? So, all right, let's talk about our sponsors. You see down there in the bottom right, Sun Cruiser. Let's give the Sun Cruiser people some business. Iced tea, vodka, lemonade iced teas. And then Circa Sports, Las Vegas, mobile betting in many states, including Colorado, Utah, several others out in the Midwest and Western area. Also Stadium Swim. If you're heading out to Vegas for anything, guys trip, business, work, stop in at Circa, give them your business. Best sports book out in Vegas. Let me just wrap these up a couple more. Zags have a lot of new faces. Yeah, I mean, you just have the upside of a guy like Jop, and it's you have to trust few. I mean, this was considered a bad year for them because they lost in the second round. They still were incredible. Thanks for keeping the Mount Western broadcast after Boise moved. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, BJ got me on here because I wasn't Boise centric, like I like all of our teams. And, they just happen to be, thanks, Sick. Appreciate your appreciation. Because I root for all of these teams. And so now they'll just be in separate conferences and I'll have to watch different games and we'll see how it always goes. P.S. in here. Appreciate you, buddy. Hope everything's well. Nick, you too. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Okay, let's get out of here. 11:23 East Coast, 9:23 out there in the mountain. Good to have all you guys here on a Sunday night. Thank you, Drew. Check out, subscribe. I keep forgetting about that. If you haven't subscribed, go subscribe to the show. See if there's any news this week. I'll be tweeting it out there at Coach Moser, at Coach MOSSER. Are you an architect? Impressive. Good night, Frank Lloyd Wright. Good night, okay, that'll do it here on another night out west on Sunday, May the 3rd. Enjoy your week, and we'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Good night.